Discovery of the Sentinel. First Officer Vexna stood motionless before the massive viewscreen, her crystalline form reflecting the ethereal glow of the ancient vessel they discovered. The archival survey ship Remembrance had been mapping the outer reaches of the Sagittarius Arm when their sensors detected an anomaly that defied their understanding. High Archivist, the energy signature. It's impossible. Her second-in-command, Krell, chittered nervously, multiple appendages dancing across the sensor controls. The power output exceeds our entire fleet's combined capacity, yet it's coming from a single vessel no larger than a destroyer. The ship hung in the void like a slumbering titan. Its hull was smooth and black, absorbing light rather than reflecting it, making it appear more like a hole in space than a physical object. What had initially drawn their attention wasn't its size or composition, but the fact that it was completely intact after what their initial scan suggested was over 500,000 years of drift. "Prepare a boarding team," Vexna ordered, her crystalline surface rippling with blues and greens of curiosity and anticipation. "Full containment protocols. We don't know what we're dealing with." As the boarding shuttle approached the vessel, Vexna studied the strange geometric patterns etched into its hull. They weren't decorative. Each line and curve seemed to serve some purpose, creating an intricate network across the entire surface. The patterns pulsed with a faint, barely perceptible light that seemed to follow the shuttle's movement. "High Archivist," the pilot's voice crackled through the comm. "We're detecting no entry points or airlocks. The hull appears to be a single continuous piece." Before Vexna could respond, the geometric patterns nearest the shuttle flared to life. A section of the hull simply ceased to exist, revealing a perfectly cylindrical tunnel leading into the ship's interior. There was no mechanical movement, no doors sliding apart. The material had either become transparent or had been transported elsewhere entirely. "By the first light," Krell whispered, "it's acknowledging our presence." The boarding team, led by senior researcher Zinri, entered the vessel with trepidation. Their helmet cameras transmitted everything back to the Remembrance's bridge, where Vexna and her crew watched in stunned silence. The interior was pristine, showing no signs of age or decay. The corridors were clearly designed for bipedal creatures, but there was something odd about the proportions. "These weren't built for humans," Zinri reported, her voice filled with confusion. "The dimensions are too large, the angles too precise. It's as if they knew who would find it." Vexna finished the thought. "As if they built it for us." The team proceeded deeper into the vessel, their lights revealing more of the strange geometric patterns on the internal walls. Unlike the exterior patterns, these began to shift and change as the team passed, forming what appeared to be directional indicators. "They're guiding us," Zinri observed. "The ship wants us to go somewhere specific." The patterns led them to a vast circular chamber at the heart of the vessel. As they entered, the entire room hummed to life. A sphere of pure energy materialized in the center, its surface rippling like liquid starlight. "Greetings, children of the crystal plains," a voice echoed through their minds, somehow speaking perfect modern crystalline, despite predating their species' evolution into sentience. "We have waited a long time for a civilization worthy of what we left behind." The sphere pulsed with each word, and images began to form within it. Images of Earth, of humanity, of their greatest achievements and most terrible failures. But these weren't historical records. They were messages, carefully crafted and preserved across 500,000 years. "We are humanity's legacy," the voice continued. "We are the Sentinel, and we have been waiting for those who would follow in our footsteps. You are not the first to find us, but you are the first to be deemed worthy of our gift." Vexna stepped forward, her crystalline form resonating with the energy of the sphere. "What gift?" she asked, though something in her core told her she already knew the answer. "The gift of understanding," the Sentinel replied. "Humanity did not vanish. We did not destroy ourselves as your histories suggest. We evolved, we transcended, and we left behind the keys to follow us. but only for those who would use them wisely. The sphere expanded, filling the chamber with images of technology so advanced it bordered on magical. Drives that bent space itself, energy sources that drew power from the quantum fabric of reality, and machines that could reshape matter at its most fundamental level. "This is only the beginning," the Sentinel said. "What you do with this knowledge will determine whether you are ready for what comes next. Remember, power without wisdom brings only destruction. This is why we wait, why we watch, why we test. The question is not whether you can use these gifts, but whether you should." As the initial shock wore off, Vexna realized the true magnitude of what they'd discovered. This wasn't just a relic of an ancient civilization. It was a test, a challenge, and an invitation. Humanity hadn't just survived. They had become something greater, and they were offering others the chance to join them. The real question was, were the crystalline people ready for such a responsibility? As she looked at the sphere of knowledge before her, Vexna knew their civilization would never be the same again. The age of simple archaeology was over. The true test was about to begin. The Guardian's wake. News of the Sentinel's discovery spread through the Crystalline Confederation like a quantum cascade. Within days, the system was filled with research vessels, each attempting to glean secrets from the mysterious human ship. But the Sentinel remained silent, responding only to Vexna and her original team. "The others don't understand," Krell observed, watching distant ships orbit their discovery. "They think it's just advanced technology to be studied and replicated. They don't see that it's alive." Vexna's surface rippled with agreement patterns. Over the past week, she'd spent countless hours communicating with the Sentinel's consciousness. Each interaction revealed layers of complexity that both thrilled and terrified her. "Show me more about the Exodus," she requested, her crystalline form resonating with the ship's energy field. The chamber filled with new projections, vast fleets of ships, each larger than cities, departing Earth in perfect formation. The Great Departure was not an escape. The Sentinel's voice echoed in their minds. It was an evolution. Humanity had reached a crossroads. We could remain bound to physical form, or we could become something more. But such transformation required space, both physical and metaphysical. The images shifted, showing the construction of the great ships. They weren't simply vessels of metal and energy. Each one was a crucible, designed to facilitate humanity's metamorphosis over thousands of generations. "But why leave these breadcrumbs?" Zinri asked, her research team busy documenting every detail. "Why not simply vanish?" The Sentinel's energy pulse changed frequency, creating harmonics that made their crystalline forms vibrate with new understanding. Because loneliness is the universe's greatest tragedy. Humanity desired companions in their journey, but only those who would not repeat our early mistakes. New images appeared: wars, environmental devastation, near extinctions. But alongside each disaster were images of recovery, of learning, of growth. "Our greatest strength was not our technology," the Sentinel continued. "It was our ability to learn from failure." Suddenly, alarms blared throughout the ship. The Sentinel's energy field pulsed with urgency. "Warning: unauthorized attempt to access core systems detected." Vexna's communications crystal chimed. "High Archivist," a panicked voice reported. "The Military Oversight Committee has deployed override protocols. They're attempting to force access to the Sentinel's database." The chamber's walls began to shift, geometric patterns flowing like liquid metal. "Protocol violation detected," the Sentinel announced, its voice carrying new harmonics of disappointment. "Initiating containment response." Before anyone could react, a bubble of twisted space enveloped the entire ship, cutting off all external communications and access. Outside, the military vessels found their most advanced systems completely inert. "This," the Sentinel's voice carried a note of sadness, "is why we test. Power without wisdom brings only destruction. Your military leadership has demonstrated precisely what we guard against." Vexna felt her crystal matrix vibrate with shame. "We've failed, haven't we?" "No." The response came with unexpected warmth. "You have begun." This reaction was anticipated. It is part of the test. How your civilization responds to this moment will determine much. The chamber shifted again, revealing new data streams. "We will show you something few have seen. Watch, and understand why we are so careful with our legacy." The air filled with images of other civilizations, dozens of them, who had found similar sentinels. Some had reacted with violence, attempting to seize the technology by force. Others had tried to worship it as divine providence. A few had simply withdrawn in fear. "Of all those who found us, only 3 have passed the full trials," the sentinel revealed. "They now walk among the stars with us, having transcended their original forms. Your people show promise, but the path is long." "What happens now?" Krell asked, his crystalline surface dark with concern. "Now," the sentinel replied, "you face your first real challenge. Your military leaders want power. Your scientists want knowledge. Your politicians want advantage. What do you want?" Vexna of the crystalline. Vexna considered carefully, knowing her answer would shape her civilization's future. "Understanding," she finally replied. "Not just of your technology, but of ourselves. Of why you chose this path, and what it means to be ready for it." The sentinel's energy field resonated with approval. "A worthy answer. But words are easy. Actions are what matter. We will present your civilization with a series of choices. How you make these choices will determine your readiness." The chamber's walls became transparent, revealing the frustrated military ships outside. "Your first choice begins now. How will you handle those who would seize what they do not understand? Remember, the goal is not to win, but to learn." Vexna gazed at the fleet surrounding them, her mind racing with possibilities. The sentinel had given them not just a test, but an opportunity, a chance to prove they could handle power responsibly. As she began formulating her response, she understood that this was just the beginning of a much longer journey. The real questions weren't about technology or power, but about wisdom, growth, and the very nature of civilization itself. Trials of ascension. "Stand down your weapons." Vexna's voice carried across all frequencies as she addressed the military fleet. "What you're attempting isn't just futile. It's missing the point entirely." Her crystalline form pulsed with determination as she stood in the sentinel's central chamber. Behind her, the geometric patterns on the walls shifted in complex sequences, almost like they were watching with interest. "This is Military Overseer Daxur," came the reply. "High Archivist, you don't understand the strategic implications. If other civilizations find more of these vessels, then they'll face the same choice we face now." Vexna interrupted. "The Sentinel isn't a weapon to be claimed or a technology to be stolen. It's a teacher." The chamber hummed with approval as the Sentinel's consciousness expanded through the room. "Your response is noted, Vexna of the crystalline. But words must be matched with actions. Show them." Understanding flooded through her crystalline matrix. With a thought, she interfaced with the Sentinel's systems. The ship's exterior geometric patterns flared to life, creating a display visible to all surrounding vessels. Images filled space. Countless civilizations across time discovering similar sentinels. Some responded with force and were simply ignored. Others tried diplomacy and began to learn. But most importantly, the images showed the success stories, civilizations that had transformed themselves not through stolen technology, but through genuine growth and understanding. "Look closely," Vexna transmitted. "Humanity didn't leave us weapons or tools of conquest. They left us a path, but that path can't be taken by force." The military vessels hung silently in space as the images continued. Finally, Overseer Daxur spoke again. His tone changed. "The Council. They need to see this. All of it." That, the Sentinel's voice echoed through all their ships, speaking publicly for the first time, is the correct conclusion. Knowledge shared is knowledge multiplied. Knowledge hoarded is knowledge wasted. The space around the Sentinel rippled as the containment field dissolved. But instead of returning to normal space, the ship did something impossible. It created a bubble of altered reality large enough to encompass all present vessels. "Welcome to your first lesson," the Sentinel announced. "What you experience here will reshape your understanding of existence itself. Pay attention. The test has already begun." The bubble's interior transformed, showing them a view of reality they had never imagined. They saw space not as empty vacuum, but as a living, breathing fabric of interconnected energy fields. Their own ships appeared as mere shadows against the true complexity of the universe. "Your species sees reality through a crystalline lens," the Sentinel explained. "Others see it through carbon bonds, energy fields, or quantum states. But all these perspectives are limited. True understanding requires seeing beyond your natural constraints." Vexena watched in awe as her own crystalline form took on new dimensions she had never perceived before. Every facet of her being resonated with previously unknown frequencies of existence. "This is why humanity left," she whispered, finally understanding. Their physical form was limiting their perception of reality itself. "Correct," the Sentinel confirmed. "But this revelation comes with responsibility. Each civilization that reaches this understanding must choose. Will you use it to grow beyond your limitations, or will you try to weaponize it against others?" The military ships hung motionless as their crews grappled with what they were experiencing. Overseer Daxer's next transmission carried harmonics of profound realization. "High Archivist, I understand now. The strategic implications I feared, they're meaningless compared to this. Your response is logged," the Sentinel noted, "but this is merely the first step. Now, watch carefully. What you learn here will determine your civilization's path for millennia to come." The bubble of altered space began to shift, showing them the true history of humanity's transformation. They witnessed how humans had discovered these deeper layers of reality, how they had learned to transcend their physical limitations, and how they had chosen to guide others toward the same revelation. "The trials you face," the Sentinel explained, "are not tests of your technological prowess or military might. They are tests of your species' capacity for growth, understanding, and transformation. Each trial will present you with a choice: remain as you are, or take a step toward something greater." Vexena felt her entire being resonating with new possibilities. "What's the next trial?" "That depends on you," the Sentinel replied. "The path is not linear. Each civilization charts its own course through the trials, based on their choices and understanding. But know this, from this moment forward, nothing in your civilization will remain unchanged." As if to emphasize this point, the bubble of altered space began to show them glimpses of possible futures. Futures where the crystalline people evolved beyond their current form, futures where they learned to shape reality itself, and futures where they joined humanity among the higher dimensions of existence. "Your next challenge," the Sentinel announced, "begins with a simple question. Now that you've seen what's possible, what will you do with your current level of technology? Will you use it to prepare your people for transformation, or will you cling to power structures that no longer serve your evolution?" The question hung in space like a crystalline chime, resonating with possibilities. Vexena realized that every decision from this point forward would shape not just their future, but their very nature as a species. The real trial wasn't about passing tests. It was about becoming something greater than they had ever imagined possible. Legacy of the Stars. 3 cycles had passed since the first revelation, and the crystalline civilization was experiencing changes that went far beyond mere technological advancement. Vexena stood in the newly constructed Transformation Center, watching as thousands of her people learned to resonate with the deeper frequencies of reality. "The latest results are extraordinary," Zinri reported, her crystalline form now shimmering with previously impossible colors. 10% of our population has already achieved preliminary consciousness expansion. They can perceive at least 3 additional layers of reality." The Sentinel had remained in orbit around their homeworld, its presence a constant reminder of how far they had to go. But it wasn't the only one anymore. As predicted, other civilizations had found their own sentinels, and the galaxy was awakening to new possibilities. Incoming transmission from the gaseous collective, Krell announced, his form now able to shift between solid and energy states at will. They've discovered their own sentinel in the Carina arm. They're requesting to join our transformation network. Vexna felt a complex mixture of emotions ripple through her crystalline matrix. The gaseous collective had once been their rivals, competing for resources and territory. Now such concerns seemed laughably primitive. "Accept the connection," she ordered. "Share everything we've learned so far." The Sentinel's voice resonated through the chamber, carrying new harmonics of approval. "You understand now why humanity chose to guide rather than rule. True power comes not from hoarding knowledge, but from sharing growth." The chamber's walls shifted, revealing a map of the galaxy unlike anything they had seen before. Dozens of points of light indicated where other civilizations had found their own sentinels. Lines of energy connected these points, forming a complex web of awakening consciousness. "What you're witnessing," the Sentinel explained, "is the beginning of the grand transformation. Humanity seeded the galaxy with sentinels not to create followers, but to foster a community of equals." New images appeared, showing how other civilizations were handling their own trials. Some were taking different paths, discovering unique aspects of reality that even the crystalline people hadn't yet grasped. "Each species brings their own perspective," the Sentinel continued. "The gaseous collective understands flow states in ways your crystalline nature cannot. The silicon hive grasps patterns you haven't yet perceived. Together, you form a tapestry of consciousness far richer than any single species could achieve alone." Suddenly, the chamber filled with a new kind of energy. The geometric patterns on the walls began moving in ways they had never seen before, and a presence entered that made even the Sentinel seem simple in comparison. "Your progress has been noted," a new voice echoed through their consciousness, vast and multidimensional. "We have been watching." Vexna's entire being resonated with recognition. This was no artificial intelligence or recorded message. This was something far more significant. "Humanity," she whispered, her form vibrating with awe. "What remains of what you would call humanity?" The presence confirmed. "We have evolved far beyond what you perceive as consciousness, but we remember our origins. Your civilization, among others, has shown remarkable potential." The chamber transformed, becoming a window into realities they had only begun to understand. They saw beings of pure energy and thought, existing in dimensions beyond physical space, yet working together in a cosmic dance of creation and evolution. "This is what awaits those who complete the trials," the presence explained. "Not an ending, but a beginning. A chance to join a community of consciousness that spans not just this galaxy, but multiple planes of existence." "How?" Vexna asked, her entire being yearning toward these new possibilities. "How do we reach this level?" "The final trial approaches," the presence announced. "But be warned, it is not a test of knowledge or capability. It is a test of choice. You must decide not if you can ascend, but if you should. The consequences will affect not just your species, but all who come after you." The chamber returned to its normal state, but nothing felt the same. They had been given a glimpse of their possible future, and it was both thrilling and terrifying. "Prepare yourselves," the Sentinel advised. "The final trial will require everything you have learned, everything you have become, and most importantly, everything you choose to be." As the presence faded, Vexna realized that every step they had taken, every lesson they had learned, had been leading to this moment. The true legacy of humanity wasn't just the technology they had left behind or the paths they had created. It was the choice they offered. The chance to become something greater than any single species could imagine. The return protocol. The final trial began not with a challenge, but with a revelation. The Sentinel's central chamber transformed into a vast amphitheater of consciousness, where representatives from all 12 species who had discovered their own sentinels gathered in their various forms: crystalline, gaseous, plasma, and others defying conventional description. Vexna stood at the center, her form now a complex matrix of light and crystal that could shift between multiple states of reality. Around her, the other species' representatives pulsed and shimmered with their own evolved forms of consciousness. "You have all reached the threshold," the evolved human presence announced, filling the space with multilayered frequencies of thought. "Now you must face the ultimate question, one that humanity itself struggled with 500,000 years ago." The chamber shifted, showing them the galaxy as it truly was, not just the physical realm they had always known, but the countless layers of reality that interconnected everything. They saw how each decision, each consciousness, each moment of existence rippled through these layers, affecting the very fabric of the universe. "Your civilizations have learned to perceive beyond physical limitations," the presence continued. "You have mastered technologies that bend reality itself. You have evolved your consciousness to embrace multiple dimensions of existence. But power is not the purpose. Understanding is not the end." The space around them filled with images of humanity's own journey, their struggles, their revelations, their ultimate decision to transform and guide others. But now they saw something new, the cost of that decision. "To transcend as we did," the presence explained, "is to accept responsibility for more than just your own species. It is to become guardians of evolution itself. The power you now possess could reshape galaxies, create or destroy entire planes of existence. The question is not whether you can use this power, but whether you should." Vexna felt the weight of understanding crash through her consciousness. "This is why you left the Sentinels. Not just to guide us, but to test if we would understand the responsibility that comes with power." "Correct," the presence confirmed. "And now you face the same choice we faced. You have 3 options." The chamber divided into 3 sections, each showing a different potential future. "First, you may take what you have learned and remain as you are, advanced but unchanged in fundamental nature. You would keep your discoveries, your enhanced consciousness, but go no further." The first section showed their civilizations continuing as they were, masters of their own destiny, but limited to their current level of evolution. "Second, you may join us in our current state, transcending physical form entirely to become part of the community of evolved consciousness that spans the dimensions." The second section showed them ascending, leaving their old forms behind to join humanity in their higher state of existence. "Third, you may choose as we chose, to become guides yourselves, seeding the galaxy with your own wisdom while continuing to evolve. But know that this path is endless, each step bringing greater power and greater responsibility." The third section showed them creating their own versions of the Sentinels, guiding future civilizations while continuing their own journey of transformation. "This is not a test of worthiness," the presence clarified. "All paths are valid. All choices have purpose. The test is in understanding why you choose, not what you choose." Vexna looked at the representatives of the other species, seeing in them the same profound comprehension. They were no longer separate civilizations weighing individual choices. They were part of something far greater. "We need time," she said, not just for herself but for all present. "Not to decide, but to understand the full implications of each choice." "Now you truly understand," the presence replied with what felt like pride. "The choice itself is not the challenge. The understanding is. Take the time you need. Explore the implications. Question everything. When you are ready, truly ready, you will know." The chamber returned to its normal state, but nothing would ever be normal again. As Vexna looked at her fellow representatives, she realized that humanity's greatest legacy wasn't the technology they left behind, or even the path to transcendence they had shown. It was the wisdom to understand that true evolution comes not from power or knowledge, but from the choices we make with them. They had time. They had understanding. Most importantly, they had the wisdom to know that rushing this decision would defeat its very purpose. The final trial wasn't about proving themselves worthy of power. It was about proving they understood why power alone was never the answer. As the representatives began their deliberations, The Sentinel hummed with an energy that felt like satisfaction. Humanity had given them not just the tools for transformation, but the wisdom to use them well. Whatever they chose, they would choose with full understanding of the responsibility that came with it. The legacy of humanity, it seemed, was not in showing the way forward, but in teaching others how to find their own path. And in that lesson lay the greatest power of all. The power to shape not just reality, but the future of consciousness itself.